Hello, everyone. I just wanted to record a quick video trying to explain a little bit what I'm looking for your lab activity over the next couple of weeks, which is an activity in which you will actually go visit a natural field site, a natural reserve. So I've just posted an instructions document on Canvas under weeks 8 and 9 under the biology lab notebook module. Let me go ahead and share that. So right now we're on the home page of the of our Canvas, and it's getting pretty full now. We've done a lot, so congrats for making it to this point. But here under weeks 8 and 9, I've posted an instructions document, okay? Open that document, and I know it's a few pages in length in terms of just the instructions, but my sincere hope for this lab is that you enjoy it. That this is a rewarding experience. You go somewhere maybe you've never been before, and you observe things you've maybe never observed before, and you have fun with it. Going outside and observing nature, journaling nature is a truly rewarding experience. It's one of the joys of life as far as I'm concerned, enjoying the land. And so that's my real hope for this assignment. And so I really would like you to choose a place that you enjoy. Just like with the book report and other things, I don't want this to be an onerous task in any way. So go somewhere that that you enjoy. So here's just some preliminary stuff. It's all written out here, but just to go over it, you'll have 2 weeks to do this lab. And so it's not due until Monday, October 26th. So that's not this upcoming Monday, the 19th, but rather the Monday after that, the 26th. That is when this lab is due. So you have just shy of 2 weeks to do it. So yeah, keep that in mind. It's worth 2 lab grades, just like the urban ecology lab, since it's kind of a 2-week-long assignment and you have to go somewhere. So I gave you some more time to do it. As it's written here in the instructions, you'll need to bring your notebook with you and a writing utensil and colored pencils, crayons, whatever other writing utensils that you've been using through your past notebook entries. Please bring that with you when you go. Also bring, pretty much everyone has a smartphone these days. So I assume, bring your smartphone with you that has, or bring someone with you from your family who has a smartphone. This is an excellent lab to bring other people with in your family. But bring a smartphone or a camcorder if you still use a camcorder, whatever the case may be, something that can record a video with sound with you to the field site. I'll explain why in a bit, but bring a cell phone is completely fine, a smartphone. And lastly, bring your portable microscope. If that is a big if, you are able to get it to talk to your device. If you're limited by using your desktop, then you do not have to use your portable microscope as part of this assignment. I'll go into that in a second. It's also written out here as to why a little bit later on. But basically, your goal for this lab entry is to visit a natural field site. And so by a natural field site or reserve, I mean a site that hasn't been disturbed by people. So something that's natural. It's in its native ecological condition. So your backyard doesn't count. I know a couple of folks live out on a ranch, and if you do have native habitat on your property, I guess your backyard could count in that sense. But if you live in urban Bakersfield, you can assume that your backyard does not count as an option. A city park, likewise, not an option. That's obviously disturbed by people. So those are not options. Also, don't go anywhere that's unsafe or closed to the public right now. So, you know, a place that is obviously closed due to COVID-19 restrictions is not an option. Also, a national park that's closed because of the wildfires that our state is experiencing right now, that is also not an option. But there are still plenty of good options that are safe to visit, that are open to the public, that allow for social distancing so your health is not at risk. There are still plenty of options around Bakersfield within, you know, half an hour of driving from Bakersfield. So I'm assuming most of the folks in the class live in Bakersfield or around Bakersfield. A few folks live further away. But I'm going to suggest to you a few options which are close to Bakersfield that you can get to really easily, you know, within an hour from where you live in Bakersfield. The first option, and really the best option that I can recommend, is Windwolves Preserve. Maybe you've been to Windwolves Preserve before. It's about half an hour south of Bakersfield on the way to McKittrick, if you've ever been out there before. It's open to the public. Their hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Here's a Google link that I included. If you click on that link in the document, if you use the Google Maps app on your phone for navigating to various places, you use this on your phone. Just tell your phone to take you to Windwolves Preserve, and it'll take you right there. They have a nice parking lot. They have bathrooms, and so it's very family friendly. And again, about half an hour south of Bakersfield. So if we're looking at it here on Google Maps, here's Bakersfield. So if you hop on, if you take Stockdale Highway west to the I-5 and take I-5 down and then get on the, I think, 199, this whole trip is about half an hour. Or you can just take Old River all the way down the Old River Road south of Bakersfield. Either way, it puts you to Windwolves Preserve. Here is the office right here. It has a nice parking lot, so bring your family if they're interested in going with you. And you can then, from the parking area, hike any number of places. There's a great hiking trail right up along this main creek line here. There's some really interesting habitats right along this corridor. I know that there's some spots of the reserve that are not opened, but the Tule Elk Trail right here is a really good trail, and there's lots of options for you to pick a spot to do this particular lab entry. Let me go back to this document here. I could have just kept that open. Okay, so Windwolves Preserve is really my top recommendation. Buena Vista Lake is also near Taft. It's not really a natural lake. We don't have any natural lakes here in Southern California, generally speaking, but it does have a lot of native habitat surrounding it. So let's just open the Google link real quick. I clicked on the wrong link. The second option here is Buena Vista Lake. Click on that link, and it'll load eventually, and it'll take you here. And Buena Vista / Lake Evans also has, it is technically a public park, so it has a nice little parking area here. And it's even closer than Windwolves. So it's just about maybe 20 minutes south of Bakersfield on the way to Taft. So if you park here, there's a nice little area for families and so forth. But the lake itself has some pretty cool little areas you can go to observe the surrounding lake. This little island here. Don't swim to it, but it has some native vegetation there. Lots of birds. This is great areas to see native birds. If you hike around a bit, hike around here, hike over here a little bit. Actually, that's a private golf course, but if you hike in this direction, you know, across the road a little bit, even right in here. This is all native shrubland right here. And that's why I'm recommending this site. And so lots of native plants, even this time of year, native wildlife that you can observe. So certainly Buena Vista Lake is an excellent option as well. Kern Canyon, so up the 178 towards Lake Isabella and Wofford Heights. There's lots of different options along the 178 there going up the canyon. If you make it all the way to the lake, there's lots of little public parking areas you can go to, little hiking trails around the lake. Another great place to take the family. So I leave it to you where you like to go. Red Rock State Park over on the other side of the county. If you're really limited to staying inside Bakersfield, you can go into the Kern River Parkway near the bike path, although that's pretty boring. So if you're limited by vehicle transport, then that is an option, but it's certainly the most boring option on the list. But you know, anywhere around the bike trail in Bakersfield, that portion of the Kern River is an option. The little lake there on Truxton is an option. There's lots of cool habitat around there. But again, the most boring option of anything on the list. Kern National Wildlife Refuge is another option that's a little bit north of Bakersfield. You don't need to choose any of the options that I've given you. If you know, some folks live out of state, I know, or are living out of state right now. Some folks live in places other than Bakersfield. So if you have an area closer to where you live, or even if it's where you live, if you live out in the country, you know, go somewhere that, you know, that you don't have to limit yourself to these options. These are just some options that are really close to Bakersfield that you can get to pretty quickly. So once you've chosen a site, I would block out a half a day, so like a morning or an afternoon, or even a whole day if you want to make a family fun day out of it. It's really a fun thing to do. You know, block out a few hours on a day to go drive to your site, and plan on spending a couple hours there at least. And you'll have a number of different things that you need to do for your journal entry. First of all, the normal metadata type stuff. Also, in your journal entry, I'd like you to include the coordinates if possible, which Google Maps will tell you. Google Maps is a fantastic app you can get on your phone. So the normal metadata that I'd like to see in every journal article or journal entry. Next, I'd like you to spend about half an hour or more on your just your base site observations. What are you seeing on your site? Follow the ABC 1, 2, 3 picture format. So over the course of a few paragraphs, what are you seeing? What's your broad interpretation of the site? Where are you? Things like that with a couple of pictures. That's just your base observation. Next, I'd like, and follow these specific, in your journal article, follow these specific these specific section titles. So have a section that's called metadata. Have a section that's called initial site observations. Have another section called community observations and so forth in these bolded areas. So that way I know which section you're working on. But anyway, next have a community level observation where you're actually noting that what the community is that you're looking at. So you're looking at kind of a landscape level of your site. And so a community, remember, is a group of populations in the same place at the same time. And so I don't expect you to know the scientific names or the common names of everything you're seeing, but you can certainly say, okay, I see 5 different species of trees here. One of them I think is an oak or whatever. I see, you know, a few different species of birds. I see some red-tailed hawks. I see some blackbirds, some ravens. I see, you know, many different species of little annual plants and some, you know, grasses, some wildflowers. I see some small rodents. That's the kind of observation that I'd like you to note, community level observation. And if possible, note any interspecific interactions between species in the context of your community. And so go back to the community lecture if you need to refresh yourself on what communities are. But I'd like you to spend some time over the course of at least a paragraph in your journal entry where you're noting community level observations and draw a picture as well. Next, I'd like you to note a populations level observation where you pick a specific species, whether it be a bird or a plant or a mammal or an insect, and spend some time noting population observations. So what's your population doing intra specifically within the population? So are two ravens fighting each other? Are two plants growing of the same species growing next to each other? Are two stink bugs mating? Okay, things like that. You know, any kind of population level observation. Spend a paragraph or so observing what you're seeing and draw a picture as well. Next, I'd like you to, anything that you're seeing, think about things you don't understand. What's going on there? Why is the raven attacking the red-tailed hawk? Why is the insect climbing on that plant? Why is the bird? Why is the fish in the lake eating the algae? You know, okay, whatever the case may be. There's so many different things you can choose from that you probably don't know the answer to, that no one really know the answer to. Ask a question on the basis of what you don't understand. This can be from your previous observations. And then propose an explanation, propose a hypothesis on the basis of that question, where you try to answer that question. And then further propose an experimental design. So let's say I am at Wind Wolves Preserve and I'm noting right now is a great time of year to see tule elk at Wind Wolves Preserve. There's a good chance you could see some while you're there. It's rutting season, so you may even see a couple of bull elk fighting each other. You know, remote possibility, but still a possibility. I don't want to get your hopes up too high. But let's say I'm at Wind Wolves Preserve and I'm there on the hiking trail there sitting and I see a couple of bull elks sparring with each other. Okay, why are they sparring with each other? I don't really know. That's my question. I hypothesize that the bull elks are sparring with each other because they're competing for who gets to mate with a female. Okay, and so that's what I think is happening. So in order to test that, I might, and this is all pretend, you know, you're not actually, don't actually go try to do an experiment. This is just pretend. But let's say in my journal article now, I propose an experiment where I come back multiple times over the course of a year and try to observe how male bull elks are interacting with each other and seeing how they interact with the females, and to see if their current behavior, their current sparring behavior really is to do with mating. Okay, so use this section to propose an experiment in which you try to answer your question. And you can stop there, you don't need to come up with results. But this is all in your journal article. We are just proposing an experiment. We are trying to devise an experiment that will answer the question that is on the basis of an observation that you don't understand from your observation. So spend a paragraph or two doing that. Lastly, I'd like you, and this is, you know, when another person might be really helpful to come with you, although not necessary, record a 2 to 5 minute, you can go longer than that, I guess, but 2 to 5 minute video at your site where you're kind of doing a selfie type thing if you're by yourself, where you're at your site, you're getting your site in your background, and you're just noting, okay, my name is Mitchell Coleman, I'm at Wind Wolves Preserve, I'm on the main hiking trail behind the office, and I'm observing I observed two bull elk fighting earlier. Oh, the weather is such and such, the temperature is such and such. I observed two bull elk fighting earlier. I had a really great time. Things like that. Keep it fun. And I actually included a little video here, link that, you know, of a video I made this spring out on the ranch of my favorite wildflower species that you might notice is actually the profile picture of our course. And so if you want to learn about why I like that wildflower so much, check out this video. And it's a good way that make a geeky selfie video. You don't need to make it as geeky as I make in this video. So pick something that you're interested in, something that brings you joy, and spend 2 to 5 minutes making a selfie type video on that. And you can have someone else hold the phone as well while you're recording. This last thing here is optional, and I made it optional for the microscope recording because I know not everyone has an easy time making your portable microscope talk to your phone. Some people had to use your laptops, which would be limiting, of course. So this is optional, where you can basically do a recording with your portable microscope and submit that recording on Canvas as well. And if you choose to do this, you do not have to do the question and hypothesis and experiment section in your journal. The site recording of you yourself talking is certainly required, but the microscope recording is optional if you want to do that, and if your phone allows you to do that. I know there's some technical limitations here, but if you choose to do the microscope recording, you then do not have to do this section in your journal, the hypothesis and experiments section. Okay, so this is again due in 2 weeks. You have 2 whole weeks to do this, so plenty of time, and it's worth 40 points, and so it's worth 2 whole lab grades. Again, that's here in weeks 8 and 9 on Canvas. And then there's actually 3 separate submission portals. The first is for your actual normal notebook scans. The second is for the video upload for your selfie video, that 2 to 5 minute video that you need to record. And then the third option is, well, the third is for the optional microscope recording, okay, of your portable microscope. So I hope this video was helpful, and that in this instructions document is helpful in what you need to do. Again, I want to stress this is something that I want you to enjoy. Have fun with it. The more fun you have with it, the better you'll do. And pick stuff that means something to you. As you can tell in the example video that I included in the document, I really like that wildflower, and so I picked it. I talked about it because I felt particularly motivated to talk about it, inspired to talk about it. So whatever you note in your journal, whatever you note in your video or videos, pick something that is enjoyable to you, and go to a site that's enjoyable to you. WinWolves is the best option because it's safe, it's reliable, it's accessible. There's a good public access record. But if you know, Lake Isabella is closer to you or whatever, it's up to you where you go, as long as you're being safe. Safety is the absolute most important thing. Don't do anything unsafe, people. Go somewhere that, all of the places I recommended to you are publicly open and safe. It's not climbing Mount Everest. It's all very safe. WinWolves Preserve especially, it's very built out. It's almost like it's like a natural Disneyland, if you will. It's a great place to take your family. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you, just to give you a better idea of what I'm looking for when you actually submit this assignment. Let me know if you have any questions. And with that said, a reminder that next Monday, October 19th, is when we'll have our review session at 8:30 p.m. And then Wednesday, a week from today, October, I guess a week from tomorrow, October 21st, is when the actual exam is going to be. So you do not have a lab due next week. This lab for the natural field site is due the week after. So you have a whole extra weekend and several days after the exam to do this. That's intentional. But if you need a break, if you need to get away from Bakersfield for a few hours, and you're tired of studying and you need to let off some steam, go do this assignment. I really hope that you enjoy it, and let me know if you have any questions. All right, have a good one, everyone.